1 in 3 women and 1 in 9 men are being attacked physically by an intimate partner. This is something that affects all walks of life. It's almost like a cancer. Doesn't matter your background, your social economic status, your education level, your skin color. We don't talk about it. It continues to grow in the shadows and in the darkness. And there's a lot of shame associated with domestic violence and being a victim of domestic violence. My name is Mercedes Santillanes. I'm the crime victim liaison for the Pasadena Police Department. Been with the department since January of 2020. Prior to that, I worked in law enforcement for 14 years. I found myself here, and this is a position that I really enjoy. Really means a lot to me. It's something that is very rewarding. Oftentimes, as an officer, I would go to a scene and take a report, and you would interact with victims that their lives had just been turned upside down, and you collect the information you need for your report and run back to the station to finish the steps that you needed to complete, and you're leaving a victim on the side of the road left to pick up the pieces of their lives and figure out on their own what their next steps are. And so that didn't sit well with me. And oftentimes we were given a list of numbers to give to victims and have them call those numbers on their own. And so again, if you've just gone through something very traumatic, a list of numbers isn't always very helpful. This job allows me to be that person that comes in when that dust is settling. This position allows me to come in and check in with victims. For many of them, it's the first time that they've ever experienced something like this, that they've ever been a victim. And so, there is no instruction manual. And some of these incidents are so traumatic and tragic that no matter what information is given to you at that moment, it's just not information you're able to process. October, yes, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's very important to talk about it. This is something that affects all walks of life. It's almost like a cancer. It doesn't matter your background, your social economic status, your education level, your skin color. This is happening around us. So 1 in 3 women and 1 in 9 men are being attacked physically by an intimate partner. So it's very important because if we don't talk about it, it continues to grow in the shadows and in the darkness. And there's a lot of shame associated with domestic violence and being a victim of domestic violence. And we need to break that up, and we need to talk about it more. We need to get the information out to victims and abusers that there are resources out there to get them help. For me personally, it's important. My mom was a victim of domestic violence. She was a survivor. I unfortunately grew up in a home where I witnessed those things. And so as an adult, I think about how much more different our lives could have been maybe if my mom would have, received some of those resources and some of that assistance. Just knowing that the opportunity is there, the information is there, the resource is there. And if you don't take it today, just empower yourself and let us empower you with that information, that knowledge, so that when you're ready, you can take advantage of that resource and that assistance that's available to you. Another very important thing for me is that talking about domestic violence, educating the community about domestic violence, the effects that it has, not just physically, but mentally. There's a lot of effects that it has, not just on the victim, but on those that are in the home that are also witnessing the abuse and the violence. It's very important to me as a mom. If we don't want to get help as adults for ourselves, let's get this help for our kids and for the kids that we're around. Getting help for them allows them to grow up in a situation that's an environment that's more safe, more consistent, and sometimes staying in those abusive relationships isn't always the best choice for those kids because again, they're relying on us as the adults to make those decisions for them and keep them safe. We're making an investment in our community by educating people about domestic violence and the resources that are available. And our kids have to grow up here. We obviously want to leave it better than how we found it. And education is key. So the more we know, the better off we are, and hopefully the better choices we can make and the better things we can do, to make everybody safe.